I want to walk across to the election intelligence dashboard, the most powerful election supercomputer ever built, to try and give you a sense of what's at stake in phase 7. Remember, there are 59 seats where polling is about to conclude in a short while from now. Then we start our big exit poll numbers. In 2014, the NDA won 40 of these seats with 40% vote share. The UPA had only 5. Others were at 14, 9 of which are Trinamool seats. All the seats in West Bengal that are going to polls at this time are Trinamool seats. I want to show you some of the key candidates whose fate is being decided. There's Abhishek Banerjee contesting from Diamond Harbour. His seat is up for grabs today, as also Anupriya Patel, sometimes on, sometimes off, right now on ally of the Bharatiya Janata Party, Apnadal candidate in Mirzapur. Then there is Anurag Thakur fighting in Hamirpur in Himachal Pradesh. Bhagwant Mann, the one candidate of the Aam Aadmi Party who's still in contention in Sangrur in Punjab. Hardeep Singh Puri contesting in place of Arun Jaitley in Amritsar. Simrat Kaur Badal fighting in the Badal stronghold of Batinda. Kiran Kher, actor Anupam Kher's wife, fighting in Chandigarh. Then there is Manish Tiwari fighting this time in Anandpur Sahib. Manoj Sinha, the MOS for Railways, fighting in Ghazipur in eastern Uttar Pradesh, which is also where Javed Ansari comes from. He is with us in our studios. Meera Kumar contesting from Sasaram. Narendra Modi himself contesting from Varanasi. He's been away at Kedarnath and Madrinath, but he is contesting from Varanasi. Ravi Kishan, Ravinder Shukla, contesting from Gorakhpur. These are some of the key candidates. I want to show you how many of these 59 seats are swing seats. 14 of these 59 seats have changed hands in every election in the last 3 elections. 7 of those 14 come from Uttar Pradesh, where in every election over the last 3 elections, these seats have changed hands. How many of these are stronghold seats? 6 out of these 59 seats are strongholds. Some of the strongholds concentrated in Madhya Pradesh, which is the seat of Khargone. The other strongholds that you can see are in Punjab. There are 2 strongholds we are tracking in Punjab. One is Bathinda, the Badal stronghold, Jalandhar, a traditional Congress stronghold. How many of these are bellwether seats? Now here, Mandi is very interesting because the track record of Mandi has been such that in every election over the last 5 elections, whichever side Mandi has gone, that party has ended up victorious at the center. So that's one key bellwether seat of Mandi. We're tracking bellwether seats very, very closely. There is one more bellwether seat, that's in Bihar, Sasaram. Meera Kumar won here in 2004 and 2009. Then it was won by the BJP. I'll show you how many of these seats were won by a margin of less than 5%. 11 out of these 59 seats, the concentration of which is in Punjab. 6 out of the 13 seats were won in the 2014 elections by a margin of less than 5%. So some of these are the key highlights, Rajdeep, of what's at stake today. The biggest, of course, is West Bengal, where if the BJP does as well as it thinks it is, then this battle looks a certain kind, and if it doesn't, and Trinamool is able to hold on, that will be relief for the opposition.
That's right. Let's then go across and introduce all our guests who are joining us to get a sense of where they feel this election has come. Dr. Mahesh Rangarajan, senior academic, someone who's tracked elections now for almost 3 decades, joins us. Also joining us, Sharad Pradhan, UP's veteran journalist, someone who's tracked UP elections again for decades. Javed Ansari, also a veteran senior journalist. We've tried to bring all the experience we can on the program today. T.M. Veera Raghav joins us from Bengaluru, where he's come from, and he too has been resident editor at The Hindu there and has been in television and print for years now. Preeti Chaudhary, Motorcycle Diaries. She's finally got an AC studio.
Where's your motorcycle, Preeti?
She's got an AC. Give her a break.
Hung up the motorcycling booth to the next election.
Till the next election. Swati Chaturvedi, senior journalist, also joining me. And Raghav Avasthi, who likes to pitch himself as an RSS ideologue. So that's the way we are going to call him. Thank you all very much.
He and Swati are sitting next to each other. I'm very worried about that
I think I should have been in the middle.
Okay, so let's look at Bengal and let's look at Mahesh Rangarajan. Why you think this battle for Bengal has become so violent? There are those who are saying this is a legacy of the left years. In fact, the violence to some extent is actually less than it was in the left years. But there seems to be an edge to this contest which perhaps hasn't been seen in recent times. BJP versus Mamata.
No, one is the rise of BJP is very remarkable. Last time it polled 17% of the vote, but this time it appears it is posing a stiff challenge across West Bengal, and it seems that it will increase its presence in the coming years. So I think there is an entrenched regional leader. Of the various regional leaders, she is by far the most senior. Of course, she's been CM only since 2011, but I think over the last 20 years, since she created the Trinamool as a separate entity, she's a very significant leader. And Bengal, I think, is important to the BJP in historical terms. It's had a certain role in our politics. After all, it's the birthplace of Shyam Prasad Mukherjee, and I think that the way she has tried to pitch it, she is using Bengal as a platform to emerge as a figure at the All India level, which you saw in that rally. So I'm afraid the level of the rhetoric, which has sometimes been very stark, the level of the violence, which is frightening, indicates the stakes are very high for both.
You know, Bengal, of course, is the one that will be looked at very closely today. The other one, of course, that's going to be looked at out of the ones that Rahul pointed out is Uttar Pradesh. I mean, the stakes could not be higher in a way, Sharad Pradhan, for both Narendra Modi, Yogi Adityanath, and indeed Akhilesh and Mayawati. This is where the other big battle is. Akhilesh Mayawati versus Modi Yogi.
Absolutely.
You know, but it has lacked, mercifully, the violent edge. It's been much more, you know, it appears that UP and Bihar have left the violent past behind them.
Yeah, that monkey's off our back.
That monkey's off your back. You passed it on to Bengal in a strange way, Javed Ansari. So you're clutching at the straw. Look, we are a much more peaceful state now. How is that playing out? Is that about arithmetic versus chemistry?
Well, it is about arithmetic versus chemistry, but you know, if arithmetic were to work in the manner it was perceived, then it would be disastrous for the BJP. But you know, the fact of the matter is that a little bit of chemistry.
Now, is it working or not? Now
It is working. It is working.
What, you think the arithmetic is working?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. The Gathbandhan is working, but it is not working in the manner it was perceived to be in totality. You know, times have changed from Kashiram and Mulayam's time to Akhilesh and Mayawati, and besides that, other factors have come into play. Some of those factors, some are undercurrents, some are factors. For instance, the Congress, in some places may be digging into the Muslim vote of Samajwadi Party.
Preeti, you went to both these states. You went to Bengal and you went to Uttar Pradesh. Was Bengal the state where you genuinely sensed an element of a fear factor? That there were people out there who are genuinely afraid of what's happening on the ground in Bengal?
You're right there, Rajdeep. That was a huge sense, at least because I would reckon I went to about 6 constituencies in Bengal, and I would think I went to about 50 constituencies in UP. And if I have to, sum it up, I'd just like to sum it up. If there are, what are the biggest factors this election which will govern this election? I would think number one, it would be the youth vote in Bengal and in UP as well. So what has happened is that there is this new vote bank that has emerged, and which is favoring the BJP, which is favoring Modi, which is in West Bengal as well. We saw the same vote bank in Uttar Pradesh, which is cutting across caste lines. A Dalit would possibly be voting for a Narendra Modi. A Yadav would be voting for a Narendra Modi. A die-hard TMC family, the parents might be voting for TMC, but the kid might be voting for Narendra Modi. So there is a new vote bank in place. It's transient. Yes, it might not be there, for very long, but for this election, that could be the defining factor, and that would be the young.
The one thing that the Bharatiya Janata Party is very confident about, Rajdeep, is that this election will change forever how elections are viewed in India. Typically, you think of elections from a prism of caste and identity. If the BJP in this election is able to get voters to rise above their caste identity, vote for factors beyond caste, then that fundamentally changes how you view elections.
That's one part of it. And the other part, I think, is that for the longest time, while there has been so much of talk of the Dalit, Muslim, Yadav combined, we've forgotten there is an equally large consolidation, counter-consolidation taking place among the most backward caste, non-Jatav Dalits, and indeed among the upper caste. So, Javed Ansari, UP is going to be an election which today, we're going to reveal the figures of UP last, because it is the most difficult state to predict. While you may claim that you're free of violence, one thing that has remained static, Mr. Ansari, is that your state is impossible at times to predict. So, do you want to put your head on the line and say which way the wind is blowing?
Yeah, I still believe that the momentum is with the Gathbandhan. I agree with Sharad partially that they may not do as well as they are expected to do, but I'd be very surprised if the BJP puts it past the Gathbandhan there. And if the BJP indeed does so, then they're home and dry, then there's no stopping them from forming a government. In fact, they'll be very comfortably placed.
Swati, you've been sort of getting an inside track on what's been happening in government. How do you get a sense that UP and Bengal are the two states which will perhaps eventually decide the final numbers, and therefore both sides are uncertain? One, there is the fear factor. The other, there is a new Gathbandhan versus the Modi-Yogi combined.
Three, four things, Rajiv. If you remember, in the assembly elections, the whole Congress SP alliance was disastrous. The whole UPK Ladke versus, the Baharian, BJP swept it. But the thing is that the BJP had maxed out in 2014 in UP. They got 71 seats, So to even get to that level is huge. And if they can even retain half of those seats and make inroads in Bengal, which is completely a fresh, ground for them, then obviously they are going to be in government. I mean, there's no
remember,
stopping
one
them.
of the key things we have to watch out for in this election is how well is the BJP doing in the Hindi heartland. We saw in December, Rajdeep, the BJP being bested in Chhattisgarh, Rajasthan and in Madhya Pradesh. If that trend continues and it's a dead heat, then you've got a certain kind of election result happens. And if the BJP is able to repeat or come close to repeating what happened in 2014, then the tables completely turn.
That's right. We've got 4 different countries, some would say. You've got the India of the South, you've got the India of the West, you've got the India of the North, you've got the India of the East, with of course differences even and variations within. But you're the man from the South here, Veera Raghav, and maybe you've come to a very different land. The moment you move to the Hindi heartland, you see the politics sort of changing dramatically. When I went to Tamil Nadu, when I went to Kerala, when I went to Andhra, I never heard anyone shouting Modi, Modi, Modi. But when you go in North India or you go to Western India, suddenly you get greeted by more and more people who are chanting the Prime Minister's name. What is it about you guys in the South that you seem to be immune to the Modi chant?
Well, there's also Punjab.
There's also Punjab.
Punjab.
A little bit, but I got a few there as well. Yes, but go ahead.
Maybe I think we are a little more sober. So, we're I think you're high on spirits, on this one. But I think Rajdeep, the fact is that, if you take Modi, Modi, the chant Modi, Modi exists in parts of South India, like let's say Bangalore. There are core areas, some pockets where you find that influence, but by and large it hasn't been able to gain traction, primarily because you've got regional parties which dominate the scene. Out of the 130 seats that constitute the 5 southern states and 1 union territory, you've got 21 that the BJP won last time. And out of that 21, 17 comes from Karnataka alone. In the rest of the place, where Hindutva is not an ideological political force and where you don't have polarization, the resentment factor is stronger. I think this election...
That's why Raghav, you preferred to stay in Delhi. If you went down south, you might find yourself a little bit more isolated. Here you're going with the wind. But an important point that Preeti made about the young, is that what you think is happening at the moment? That the younger voter is more attracted to brand Modi?
No, not just that. Even in South India, if we take the long view of a political history, let's say over the past 20 years, I think the BJP has made great inroads, especially in areas like coastal Karnataka, where it is the preeminent political force now. And I think over a period of time, it will improve its performance.
But why do you think the young are so attracted to brand Modi?
I think the young are attracted to brand Modi because he transcends these traditional tropes of identity that have been foisted upon us by the Congress party over the years. He talks about Vikas, he talks about taking making sure that all of the communities have a stake in that Vikas. And I think this is what appeals to the young. The younger people are more urbanized. They are not as predominantly rural as the previous generation. So these notions of caste have very little appeal to them. Caste is essentially a rural institution. And that's why I feel...
so many people on Twitter, Facebook, WhatsApp are asking, "Batao jeet kaun raha hai?" We can't do that right now. We have to wait till 6:30 p.m. But the one thing that we can tell you is, no matter what you think has happened in this election, you will be surprised by the results. Some may be shocked by the results, some will be surprised by the results. No matter what you're thinking is happening, you can pretty much be certain that the results will come as a big, big, big surprise. Rajdeep, would you agree?
Look, I think every election throws up a surprise. I remember 2004 in particular, and that's where exit pollsters, incidentally, Rahul, have had a nightmare just this morning.
54 of them went wrong.
In Australia, they've just had a big nightmare. So, we must put lots of statutory warnings. I keep repeating, if this exit poll that you're going to see unraveling over the next few hours goes wrong, put the blame on the pollster. If we get it right, please give all credit to Rahul and me for our methodology. We got it perfectly right.
Rahul, I have a question.
That's the way it is.
Will you be surprised or pleasantly surprised with the results?
No, I'm not answering that. I know the answers, so there's no point in,
Yes, but
let's get Mahesh Rangarajan in on this. So I want to ask you this. In Australia, 54 polls, including exit polls, predicted that the Labour Party was winning. The opposite happened. In the United Kingdom, during Brexit, pollsters got it wrong. In 2016, during the Trump election, no matter how advanced their psephological tools and analytical tools may have been, they said we're using algorithms, artificial intelligence. In the end, big Kela. What happened? Why is this happening?
No, voters are complex people, and there's no reason that the person studying them should be wiser than them. We should be very honest about this. The voter has a better sense of their future than any of us, and I'm sure you
Mahesh,
agree.
I just want to stop you just for a moment, just to say that the visuals we are showing you is Mamata Banerjee is probably going to be one of the last big leaders to come to vote. She's decided most leaders go at 8 a.m. to vote. Mamata typically is different.
Why does she vote late, Rajdeep?
You know, she first monitors everything that's happening around her. Look,
you spend time with her. Is she happy with the way things are going?
well, she put me on a padiyatra where she walked faster than Usain Bolt. So whether she's happy or not, I'm still struggling. You know, I'm still recovering from the fact that she, at the age of 64, walks faster than me, who's 4 days away from 54. So, you know, Mamata Banerjee is in a league, sui generis Indian leader.
No, but she's up for power. You know, she gets to be chief minister. You're back in the studio, so there's a lot more at stake for her.
Absolutely, and I think power drives you to walk faster. You see, if I was also contending for West Bengal chief minister, I'd also walk faster. There is Mamata Banerjee. Sorry.
There she is, Mamata Banerjee. You know, this is the one leader who's given it back to the BJP as good as she's got. In most other states, opposition parties, especially the Congress, has simply rolled over, played dead. The BJP stomped over them. Mamata Banerjee has fought for every inch of her turf. Let's just see if we can pick up some audio from there. She's always a lot of fun to listen to. Mamata Banerjee.
देखिए अभी कैंपेनिंग नहीं है, अभी तो इलेक्शन चल रहे हैं, इसलिए हम कैंपेनिंग के बारे में कुछ नहीं बताएंगे। लेकिन आज सुबह से हमारा स्टेट में वोट का लेके बीजेपी वर्कर सीआरपीएफ को लेके जितना उत्साह किया है, ये हमने कभी नहीं देखा।
And I think that's one big difference you're seeing in Mamata between the Mamata that I knew, say, 10 years ago and today. She's much more curt, brusque with the press. She believes that the national media has conspired with Mr. Modi and Shah against her. She's very open about it. She called me a dalal. I smiled because I needed the interview. What do I do? That's all that you can do in life. Called a dalal one day, called anything, you live with it. But go ahead, Mahesh. I mean, let's talk about Mamata Banerjee a bit. Before we come to the exit poll, just the kind of person you know, she is, in a way, the one person who, apart from Rahul Gandhi, has been seen to directly take on Mr. Modi. You know, Rahul Gandhi with Chaukidar Chore, Mamata with all kinds of expletives. Do you get a sense that she is a nervous leader desperately trying to hold on to a fortress, or this is a brand of politics?
Like the Prime Minister, she began her political career in the 1970s. She's from the Youth Congress of the 70s. 1984, she defeated Somnath Chatterjee in an election, Diamond Harbour. She shifted to Jadavpur later. She was known as the giant killer. Nobody ever thought CPM would lose that seat. So she's someone who actually thrives in a fight. She's a natural campaigner, as the Prime Minister is. The other point I want to emphasize is she is trying to do two things at one time. We don't know if it will work. One is to be the authentic voice of Bengal, Vidya Sagar, Vivekanand. The other is to reach out for a national role. Now, we are all aware that when you rule a state of which you have for 9 years been the prime voice, you are in control. You have a 2/3 majority, you have the MPs, you have the MLAs. But when you're reaching out to other political parties, it's a completely different story. So can she walk that line? And I think that's why you'll see in her this dual line, trying to reach out to the other parties and also being the very tough sort of antagonist.
She is something else. Mamata Banerjee is quite a leader, and over the years,
but is she up against an unstoppable force this time? We'll know soon.
You know, we'll know. Look, if it is an unstoppable force, then the BJP has to do in Bengal, Rahul, what they did in Tripura last year. Because that's the kind of vote shift that they're going to make.
But that's not the way the BJP sees it.
Right.
Is bar half, agli bar saf. That's the BJP's theory.
No, look. Is bar half, agli bar saf. The BJP may well believe this is the semi-final before the Bengal elections. But it's a huge challenge. I think for the BJP, the biggest challenge in a way in this election has been Bengal and Uttar Pradesh. Because you're climbing two mountains. One is the Mayawati arithmetic mountain, and one is the Bengali. You know, the BJP doesn't have tall Bengal leaders. They are entering a state, Rahul, with, you know, which is relatively virgin territory. And they are taking that left vote away. They've become the prime opposition. Can they, in this election itself, become the ruling party is the question.
In 2014, soon after the results came out, somebody asked Amit Shah, what happens next? He says, we have to go and win the hearts of Bengal. And he said that we need to expand in the south. We want to sweep Bengal by 2019. We'll be a big force in Bengal. And he told me that 2 BJP past presidents called him, gave him a bit of a pasting saying, you know, we've just won 282 seats. Why are you making it seem as if this is mission unaccomplished? You shouldn't be talking like this because it demoralizes the cadre. It is the audacity of that ambition that we will go in and win West Bengal at a time when even people in the BJP didn't think that this was possible. And if you look at the number of trips, 91 trips over the past 5 years to West Bengal. He spent many nights there. Modi and Shah have worked tirelessly. You know, there is, to be able to imagine that you can grow in a state like West Bengal, Rajdeep, requires the kind of political audacity we're not seeing in the Congress at this moment.
After having given him this certificate, you better make sure they win 20 seats.
No, I can't make
because
it.
Because if they don't win 20 seats, then Amit Shah, but you're right.
But Rajdeep, they're growing in a state where they didn't exist, which is the state where the Congress is growing. They're ceding space in state after state.
You know, we've actually done 30 minutes of the show and not mentioned the Congress. And that perhaps tells you a lot about this election.
Tells you everything about the Congress.
You know, but in a way, on this side of the table, Swati, you know, the sense I get that the taking off from what Rahul said, the audacity of ambition of an Amit Shah and a Narendra Modi versus the Congress which has retreated from its fortresses. Now, Bengal, in a way, Mamata Banerjee is an ex-congressman.
Absolutely.
But 20 years ago, they chose Pranab Mukherjee and the old guard over her. She walked out from the Trinamool and took on the left. I just wonder whether the Congress, on the other hand, in contrast to the audacity of ambition, has just limited its ambitions to can we retain Amethi and Raebareli at times?
Rajdeep, they seem to be confused between survival and revival. They first pitched for revival in UP and actually damaged the people who were the real contenders, which is the Mahagathbandhan. Then they suddenly realized that revival was not happening. What we also forgotten to discuss is that Priyanka Gandhi is the Secretary General East of the seats which are going to poll, and this is supposed to be an acid test for her. I don't think she'll deliver anything. But now that they are back to revival, which is why they said that we are not going to be talking about Rahul Gandhi as Prime Minister, the Congress has actually really let the opposition down. They should have been the linchpin.
No, I like the way you put it, revival or survival. Javed Ansari, we're just getting news at the moment that Chandrababu Naidu, and that's the breaking news that's coming in at the moment, has gone to meet Sonia Gandhi. And I find it interesting, over the last 72 hours, the only politician who seems to genuinely believe that there is a chance for a non-BJP government at the centre is Chandrababu Naidu. He's rushing around from meeting Mayawati and Akhilesh. He's gone to now meet Sonia Gandhi, meet Sharad Pawar.
But Rajdeep, when you talk to some of the opposition leaders he's meeting, they're slightly concerned about meeting him because they don't think he's doing very well in Andhra Pradesh. So they'd rather do business with Jagan Reddy. So they're stuck. So they are stuck with TDP when they want to do business with Jagan.
Look, yesterday when he went to meet Mayawati and Akhilesh, Mayawati told him, at least let the results come out. Let's first know. Because this is, you know, you're putting the
so why is he doing it? Why do you sense a sense of desperation on the part of Chandrababu Naidu?
Maybe there is one element is keeping himself relevant. The other thing he wants to avoid, if the numbers fall in place, Goa kind of situation where they're still caught napping and rallying their forces while the other side gets their act together.
But the people he's reaching out to don't want to talk to him.
Sorry?
The people who NCBN is reaching out to are not that keen to, at this point, entertain him simply because he doesn't have the kind of strength that he's projecting back home.
Because, you know, interestingly, you've also got Veera Raghav, another person who's made his move a week ago, which is K. Chandrasekhar Rao. He made his move, went to meet Vijayan of the left, then met Stalin, who snubbed him and said, look, too early for me to talk about a federal front.
No, I'll tell you what, when you see Naidu, you need to look at that insecurity, personality politics between Naidu and KCR at one level. The second is his own insecurity about his position in Andhra Pradesh. I think there is a deep down insecurity that's set into the TDP with its position in Andhra Pradesh. It's trying to build alliances. However, if push comes to shove, remember Naidu is the guy who can swing this way or that. Right? You know, I'm just trying to say that...
He can't come back.
No, he can't come back. He can't come...
Those doors are shut. That goes for KCR and Jagan.
I'm not saying in terms of coming back. He wants to keep every door, every possibility
he
for himself
wants to keep
open.
himself relevant,
He wants to keep himself relevant.
Yes, go ahead, Mahesh.
No, we don't know the results, but you know, go back to Naidu. He was one of the architects of the 96 coalition. The other two are not here, Mr. Surjit, because the CPM's more or less vanished. VP Singh is also is deceased. So Naidu sees himself as someone knitting together the regional parties. There's something very important you said about the Congress, which I was just thinking about. You know, when the Congress in 2004 made its move, it was fighting over 400 seats. Today, the Congress is a much shrunken force. When you look last time, there were no states where it got into double figures virtually. So I think the Congress is a weaker force. So there is some vacuum of someone who will tie the regional parties together. And these men are trying to bid for that vacuum.
None of the serious regional players, whether it is the DMK, and I can tell you with confidence from people within the DMK who've tried speaking to people in TMC, they're not interested in talking right now till the numbers come out. None of the serious players are interested.
What we can tell our viewers is the likes of Jagan Mohan Reddy are hoping fervently that the NDA ends up about 220, 230, 240, so that then they're in business. That's when you need a Jagan Reddy, that's when you need a K. Chandrasekhar Rao, possibly even a DMK.
That I'm sure even those within the BJP, some might hope.
So that's what they're hoping for. The Prime Minister and Amit Shah and the BJP's top strategists are saying no matter what happens, let's just hope we cross the 272 mark, because they believe they have a very aggressive, ambitious plan for their second term. That's what they're hoping for, that it should be 272 plus. So whose hopes are realized, we will know in just about 2 hours from now, Rajdeep.
My sense is that the magic.
Sure.
My sense is I wonder whether the magic number for the BJP in this election is 220. Once they've crossed 220, and I'm talking even of the NDA, then you get Jagan and others online, but the BJP, if it crosses 220, means that the NDA would be above 250. Once you're above 250, you've got the momentum with you. I don't think this is 1996, where...
Vajpayee 253.
Yeah, but the difference between 1996 and now, as you mentioned, Mahesh, is that the Congress and the BJP were both relatively large parties. Now you've got a shrunken Congress, and you've therefore got much larger regional parties who are hoping to play a role. I think they still see India through the prism of 1996. And I just wonder whether Chandrababu Naidu needs to realize we're in 2019 and not 1996. But yes, Raghav.
Congress of today reminds me of the Mughal Empire after Aurangzeb. You had all of these Jahandar Shahs and Farrukhsiyars and Muhammad Shahs, and they had been reduced to stitching up alliances with those who had hurt them. And like during the Battle of Buxar, they stitched up a subservient alliance with the Nawab of Awadh. So the Congress is in a very sorry state, and unless and until they get their ideological house in order, I don't see any.
What is the best case, Javed, for the Congress? What's the best case for the Congress?
I mean, it's a no-brainer. They've put it out there. They're expecting 120, 125.
In the best case.
In the best case. He asked that.
So
that's
best
what
case
he asked.
120, 125.
Praveen Chakravarti is on record having saying that we'll triple it. So if you triple it, you'll go to 120 or 125.
No, they made the government with 145 in 2004. But I just want to say something. No, the key thing is these regional parties have turned out to be much more significant than anyone thought. Very few people 20 years ago would have imagined you'd have such a strong regional party. Look at the states, Andhra and Telangana, where the Congress effectively was the ruling party right up to the 80s. Orissa, West Bengal, these are very powerful parties. Tamil Nadu, of course,
but can they sustain when the generation changes? That's the point.
Well,
what happens to the BJD once Naveen Patnaik is no longer in the fray?
But in Tamil Nadu and Andhra, they have now sustained for 50 years and almost 40 years. West Bengal, it could be argued the left effectively was a regional force. West Bengal had a CPM which guarded West Bengal interests. But yes, that's a question for all those who don't have...
the point, therefore, Rahul, from what you're saying, I think we have the voter, there are two options that I really see in this election coming out. Either you have a clear BJP verdict, or three options: a clear BJP verdict, a BJP alliance government, or the regional parties try and stitch something together. The interesting aspect is a Congress-led government at this stage, given the way the numbers are stacking, seems very, very unlikely.
The fourth option, Rajdeep, is that our exit poll goes wrong. Then you and I will need to go to Kedarnath. I will have to go to Kedarnath.
No, we don't know.
Maybe to Goa.
And don the saffron like...
Look, we will not talk about Kedarnath today because I don't like the cold, and more importantly, we don't have multi-cams to take us along with us to Kedarnath. Now, the Prime Minister can do that, but I can't. But the fact is that even there, let's talk a bit about that. Look at the way the Prime Minister has done it. This is total politics, just like total football that was invented by the Dutch. He will, till the very last moment, he was campaigning even today. Absolutely. Effectively, he used Kedarnath to send out a message. Himachal is going to the polls. Kedarnath is a very holy shrine for Bengalis. He's exploited every moment that he can.
Absolutely.
And the other side is busy trying to find out what's going to happen post-poll. The Prime Minister is looking at what's the next seat he's going to get.
No, they're having tea parties in Delhi while Mr. Modi is, on every TV screen 24/7. So you can make out who's the obvious leader there, who's got the advantage.
Right. I just want to ask you, Preeti, as you've been listening to a lot of what we've said from the point of view from the ground.
Right.
On the ground, did you get a sense that where there are strong regional parties, there the competition seemed a little bit more, like in an Uttar Pradesh or a Bengal. or in
Right,
Odisha,
right.
than it was in a direct state fight like a Madhya Pradesh or a Rajasthan. Did you sense much more of election energy in the
Definitely,
regional
because-
parties versus Mr. Modi and Shah?
You know, definitely, but you know, I'd like to add to that point because, you know, the last 40 days I've been on the road, on the ground. You're talking about Mr. Modi right now being on television, but there's been a strategy by the BJP. Every phase, Rajdeep, that I was in, the strategy of the BJP changed. Why did Rajiv Gandhi come when suddenly Punjab and Delhi were going into election? There was a reason. And it was, you know, it was happening like every time it
It's
would
well
happen.
choreographed.
It was choreographed in terms of they knew exactly what to talk about in each phase. This is how a party is supposed to run, actually, if you look at it. This is politics.
Choreographed has a negative
No,
tone
not
to it.
choreographed.
In
This is, they're
terms of
doing
how
everything.
this campaign has been planned, in terms of how this campaign has been planned, it's
Every
been the race
phase was
between a Maruti 800 on the one side and a Ferrari on the other. When you've got a
then
Maruti
you get a
squaring off
Godse
against a
like
Ferrari,
then you get a
there
Godse
usually
like
is
outlaw.
only one
Every
winner. I want to
phase.
walk across to the election intelligence dashboard to give our viewers a sense of what's at stake. We'll start from phase one, build up and try and give you a sense of what to look forward to. So let's just go across. We've got a steady cam here for this big day as well. Let's just track in the last and final phase how many of these seats are urban seats. 22 out of the 59 seats, roughly 1/3 of the seats are urban pockets. The remaining 37 are rural seats. Let's also just show you what's been happening so far in the election intelligence dashboard. I want to tell our viewers that starting 6:30 p.m. you will be able to see on this election intelligence dashboard the seat-wise breakup in real time. This is something we've never been able to do earlier. Every single seat has been polled at 552 constituencies. 7,40,000 is the sample size already. By the time polling ends, it would be close to 8 lakhs. That's how big the sample is. About 1,291 is the average sample size in every constituency. Remember, we started from phase one. We've been tracking factors like bellwether seats, margin calculator, crime rate, and also give you a sense of how many of the seats are strongholds of various parties. I want to give our viewers a sense of what to expect when our exit poll starts at 6:30 p.m. We will start first from the south. So we'll start in the manner in which this election moved, starting from Andhra Pradesh first, Telangana, going down to Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, then moving up to the west, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and then finally we will come to West Bengal, Orissa, Bihar, the east. That's the big... Rajdeep, one of the key things to look out for in this exit poll and finally in the verdict on the 23rd is how the Bharatiya Janata Party does in the east of India. Remember, they did very well. Last time, it was a northwest monsoon for the BJP. This time, can it be a northwest and east monsoon for the Bharatiya Janata Party? That's
right.
what they're looking.
I think the East is one of the objective realities that's different compared to 2014. The competitiveness of this, what Hemanta Biswa Sarma has brought to the table when it comes to the Northeast, what has happened in the context of Odisha, where you've got a chief minister who is facing a measure of anti-incumbency. So these are all, I think...
But really, Rajiv, you saw anti-incumbency in Odisha? I saw none.
Look, I saw something that I've never seen before.
You saw Modi wave,
No,
but
no, one
there was
minute.
no anti-incumbency.
No, I've seen something which I haven't seen before, and therefore the exit poll of Odisha is going to be interesting what the final numbers are. This country, and we've tried to go back in time, has never seen a split verdict. When a state goes to assembly and Lok Sabha polls, they vote the same way. I got a sense there were people who were saying, I want Naveen Patnaik in Bhubaneswar, I want Narendra Modi in Delhi. Now, I don't know whether that's ever going. I don't know whether that's going to happen in this election. We're going to have to wait to see what the exit poll says. But according to me, if that happens, a slice of history will be created. Never before in the same poll has a party...
It happened in Karnataka, but that was almost at the same time, but not on the same day.
Not in the same election. Not on the same day when I go to the polling. And remember, this is a state with a large tribal population.
Very distinct. The same person will say.
That's right. A large tribal population. Will that tribal woman in Koraput, for example, go and vote differently in the state election? And will she vote differently?
In a state with amongst the lowest frequency levels.
That's right. Okay. Welcome back. You're with our special coverage here as we are building up to the India Today Axis exit poll to tell you who are the exit pollsters saying are winning the 2019 elections. India's most credible exit poll coming up in a few moments from now. We're building up to that because polling is still going on across several parts of the country, including in the Prime Minister's constituency of Varanasi. And I want to travel to Varanasi because that's where we're going to get our National Affairs Editor, Rahul Srivastav, joining us now. Rahul, you're there in the heat and dust of Varanasi. I saw you interviewing Dr. Murli Manohar Joshi there. Do you get a sense that Varanasi is one of those seats that's a complete walkover? In a way, the opposition is completely invisibilized in Varanasi. It's a question of what margin will Mr. Modi win by?
Yes, Rajdeep. As far as Varanasi is concerned, given the fact that the Congress did not put up a strong candidate, promised Priyanka Gandhi gave Ajay Rai, the Samajwadi Party, BSP, did not really put their heart and mind to the contest. The Congress and the Samajwadi Party and the BSP did not come to an idea of getting together in challenging Narendra Modi. This time around, unlike last time around, there is no Arvind Kejriwal challenging Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Last time around, he had walked away with some 20% votes in Varanasi. So Varanasi is perhaps the easier battle where the contest is that will Mr. Modi's margin go up even if the polling percentage stays something close to or slightly lower than what was last time around. But Rajdeep, one very interesting fact which I have witnessed over the whole day in areas adjoining Varanasi is that it is not just, it was a cakewalk for BJP last time around and maybe this time around. Last time around, the BJP swept everything which is polling today. And this time around, there are big question marks. And in all the constituencies I have traveled, say adjoining Badohi and Machli Shahar, there is one very interesting element when I was talking to the village elders. What they were saying, that there might be too much of scramble happening in Delhi, all over the country, in Bengal and other places. Eventually, what the people and what I call the electoral wizards in this country in UP are saying, that the battle for Prime Minister, the person nearest is going to be either from the BJP if it does well in UP, if the Congress not possible because it doesn't do well in UP, and the Gathbandhan because it is a possibility that they may do very well in Uttar Pradesh. What they were telling me, that you look across the map of the country, there is no political party which is fighting strongly in two states. But this is one state which can actually give 80 seats, and even if somebody gets 60 seats, it will emerge as the strongest non-BJP, non-Congress bloc across the country, being closest after Narendra Modi Congress as the contender for the Prime Minister's job.
Interesting, because really this is an alliance, of course, which has been forged in the past. Let's be very clear. 1993 was the first time that Mulayam Singh and Kashi Ram came together, and Sharad Pradhan, listening there at the moment, that was a very different election. That was in the backdrop of the Babri Masjid demolition, and yet Mulayam and Kashi Ram were able to best Kalyan Singh at the time. 26 years later, have things changed? Have Amit Shah and Narendra Modi changed the equations? Or is Mayawati not quite the Mayawati that she was 20 years ago?
Well, Mayawati was not the leader of the party at that time.
By 96 she had come to power.
Kashi Ram had a much larger profile as far as the leader of Dalits is concerned. Kashi Ram was considered leader of the Dalits as a whole, whereas Mayawati has reduced herself to being the leader of the Jatams. And likewise, there's a difference between Mulayam and Akhilesh. Mulayam was at that point of time seen as a leader of the OBCs.
I've just received some information that the polling for the India Today Access My India exit poll has been concluded. We are signing off at a sample size of 7,42,187. 7,42,187 is the final sample size for the India Today Access My India exit poll. The biggest sample is from Uttar Pradesh, 94,568. In West Bengal, it's 49,676. In Bihar, 47,930. Karnataka, 49,000. Madhya Pradesh, 53,000. Maharashtra, 61,000. Rajdeep, you've been polling and looking at polls for very long. That's a massive, mammoth sample size.
It's a mammoth sample size, but I'm going to put one caveat. Usually, the larger the sample size, the chance of it going wrong are also equally high.
Unless you...
honestly, at times, I mean, this is what pollsters sometimes tell you. I think what is more important, and I think this is the good thing, it's not just the size, it's the quality of the sample. And I think the quality of the sample is what makes Axis stand out. You know, the fact that Pradeep Gupta and his team don't just look at random sampling like they used to in the past, but go constituency by constituency. I think the important point, Rahul, about our poll is it's gone to all the 542 constituencies. So therefore, you know, as elections get more localized, more competitive, I think that's the edge
that's
that we
an
have.
important thing to explain to our viewers. If you're wondering why earlier polls used to go wrong so frequently in India, that's because they'd poll in a certain number of constituencies, extrapolate for the rest of the state and try and present a big picture. But remember, now the polling is happening in every single seat. Therefore, even if you can go off target, you'll generally tend to go off target only in the seats which are the tough fight seats. Because if you're, for example, polling an X seat, it's leaning very clearly towards party A, the chances of going wrong on that seat are very, very minimal. When you draw what's happening in A seat as a reference for what may happen in E, that's where polls tend to go wrong, which is why we're fairly certain that directionally what India today will tell you is going to be very close to the final truth. Some of the seats may be slightly up and down when you go on a seat basis, but the chances of the poll itself going wrong are very, very marginal. The only instance, and we're open enough to say so, where this has happened, Rajdeep, is in Karnataka and in Tamil Nadu, which is why it's a 34 out of 36 track record, a 95% track record. And what happened at that time was that these were single phase elections. So you're trying to project when polling is still on, you don't have the final voting percentages, which is why it is complicated to be able to arrive at a final conclusion. Now that you've had as much time for a post-poll study of this nature, we're fairly confident that what you'll see today is what will happen on the 23rd.
I think you used a good word, directionally. I think what we are trying to capture more than anything else is give you a clear direction as to which way has India voted.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you will love to.